Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Give everybody a chance to tune in. Let's tune in. Another minute. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the P-Ave Perspective. I'm your host, Mr. O'Neill, and as known, every week I try to, jump on here and talk about the issues that affect our personal lives, issues that affect our families, our neighborhoods, and our communities. And I don't talk about it to complain, but I talk about it to find real solutions. I'm solutions oriented. And as always, whether you watching the live stream or whether you're watching the replay video that I post on YouTube on the P-Ave Perspective Show channel, I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you taking time out to spend a little time with me tonight. But tonight, we're talking about relationships. And the title of this episode is The 6 Pillars of a Strong Relationship. What love is really built on. And like I said, it's my opinion based on personal experience, based on research. And before I get into it, I have to say this. This episode is not for everybody. It's not for everybody because everybody is not prepared for real love. And it has to be said. I know a lot of people might not agree with me, but one of the main reasons I feel that there are so many, bad relationships, broken relationships, so many, divorces, and people just unable to maintain happy, healthy relationships is because a lot of us aren't ready for them. A lot of us weren't ready for them. But that's on us, as individuals to be willing to admit that we're not ready for it. That's the key to it. So again, this episode is not for everybody. If you're still dealing with, trauma from past relationships, childhood trauma, um, mental, emotional issues, and things like that, I personally suggest that you work on that first. You work on that first, because everybody talk about soulmates and everybody talk about finding a person, but I truly believe there's somebody for everybody. But I believe a lot of people, mess up their chance at real love, mess up their chance for happy relationships because they're looking for these relationships and they're not really ready. And in this day and age, I still personally believe in marriage. I know a lot of people don't, but I'm not opposed to, people not getting married. It's not about that. Really, it's about, finding someone who's compatible with you, finding someone with similar morals and values, similar goals, and enjoying. But another thing I want to clarify, when it comes to relationships, people have a lot of different ideas on relationships. Like I said, these pillars, people might differ with me on, what true love is built on, and that's cool. I'm open for discussion. But this is what I believe in, and this is what I stand on. And because of that, I have to say that we really have to be knowledgeable about the things we want. We really have to be knowledgeable about what we expect as well as accept from the people we allow into our lives. And one of the things that I recognized a long time ago from me and how I live my personal life and from other people and how they live their life, we have to learn that really the only thing I personally feel like people owe us in this lifetime, that people absolutely owe us, is honesty. And that's it. That's it. Everybody was born as individuals. Everybody gets to choose how they live their life and, who they spend their life with, the decisions that they make and things like that. And it is what it is, regardless of how we feel, regardless of what we think. The only thing that people owe us, and I believe that's absolute, the only thing that people absolutely owe us is the truth. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, be truthful about your intentions, be truthful about what you want, be truthful about what you don't want. And then, like I've always said, even though a person may choose to be in a relationship at this point in their life, people change. People change, and that's okay. But if a person gets to the point where their feelings change or they want to change, they don't want to be in a relationship no more, like I said, I believe that all they owe you is honesty. All they owe you is honesty. I believe in, just like I said, you get to make your own choices in life, because the repercussions for your choices or the consequences of your choices is your own. So it is what it is. So let me say, I had to say that, to break it down, because there's so many things about, a real man won't do this, or a real man will do this, a real woman won't and will. And just like I constantly told people, a real person will tell you the truth, regardless of what it is. And that's what I stand on. That's what I live on. That's what I love about people. Like, I understand people are people. The only thing I don't deal with is deception. If you like me now, that's cool. If you change your mind, that's cool too. Just let me know. Just be honest. And that's what we have to really look at before we get into these 6 pillars. We have to look at, first, foremost, and always, it's all about honesty and it's all about truth. And if you can't rock with that, if you're not okay with that, and you feel like people owe you something other than that, then again, this conversation is just not for you. But to the healthy people, you know what I'm saying, in this world, I feel like everybody wants love. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody wants loyalty. I feel like everybody wants someone that they can grow with, and in a lot of cases, they might want multiple people. And like I said, however you look at it, to me, is cool. Just like I said, it's about, honesty at the end of the day. But even though people want this, very few of these people have really stopped to ask, what is a successful relationship actually built on? And when I say successful, I mean, yes, love, but yes, growth and development. Yes, achieving goals. And we're not, our grandfathers. We're not our great grandfathers. We're not those people. Like I said, I've said that before. I spoke on that before about back then. It was basically set in stone that, women were housewives. You know what I'm saying? Men were the workers. And that's changed. That's changed. You have women that are, workers. You have career oriented women. You have women with real goals, women with real aspirations. And like I said, that's one of the key things in choosing, making sure that y'all align, making sure that, y'all have similar morals and values, that you can respect each other's, goals and really help each other build. That's what it's all about. I believe that relationships help you, the good ones and the bad ones. Like I said, in my history, good and bad relationships have helped me. The good ones have helped me grow in love, understanding, and things like that. But the bad ones have helped me too, because they help me, really figure out what I want, what I don't want, what I'll accept, and what I will accept. So I feel like every relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or a friendship, I feel like it'll help you grow and develop. So let me say this too. A lot, like I said earlier, everybody is not ready for relationships. If you feel like, and a lot of people feel this way, but if you feel like you want a mate that you can control, you don't want that mate dealing with other people, you don't want that mate dealing with people of the opposite sex, you're not ready for relationships, because relationships are based on meeting people, learning from people, growing and developing. So again, we have to get to the point where we're comfortable with who we are, and we're open to, finding real people. That's what it's all about, finding real people. But these days, relationships are built on so many things that really mean nothing. Relationships are built on, money, how much money a person has, sex. A lot of people, I see a lot of people are promoting sex. And a lot of women feel like because these men are after sex, you know what I'm saying, that sex holds value. And in long-term growth and development, it doesn't. It doesn't. Everybody can get sex. That's not as valuable as people, think it is. Back in the days, it was more value because women, held more value in themselves. And it just wasn't, out there freely. But these days, everybody is having sex. So it's not as valuable. But people, get in relationships because of looks, how people look, the status people hold, for social media validation these days, and want to seem like you have your life together and want to seem like everything is good. Some people get in relationships because they feel that a person can give them a certain lifestyle. It's some of everything, but none of that, you know what I'm saying, leads to long lasting, healthy, happy relationships. But I really believe, like I said, it's about character. It's about who you are, and not an actor or an actress, but your true character. Not the character that people portray. And that's another issue I say about being healthy and being, heal yourself. You know what I'm saying? To the point where you are comfortable with who you are, and not, trying to pretend to be or play, something that you're not. But like I said, looks change. Money comes and goes. People lose jobs, people get sick, life gets hard. Life gets hard. And I've seen so many people who, go into it looking for a certain thing. And when things change, because money makes them happy, when people lose money, they no longer happy with that person. Sex. If a person gets hurt and can't have sex no more, they unhappy with that person. So all of that stuff changed. So if you're basing your happiness, and you're basing, your life with someone based on those things, it's bound to change. It's bound to change. And just like I said with the marriage vows, that is serious, and I ain't even saying marriage, but If you want to build something real, it's about, the things they say in those vows, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health, you know, and those mean something. Those mean something because that's what loyalty is all about. That's what real loyalty is all about. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, when everything is good, when everything's sweet. You know what I'm saying? When everything is going, you know, as we plan. It's about, when things change, when life started lifing. Who gonna rock? Who gonna stay and rock with you then? Who gonna continue to support you and love you then? That's what it's really all about. But like I said, when the foundation of the relationship is weak, you know, it eventually gonna collapse. It is what it is. So we have to be real about that. But tonight, like I said, I want to share what I personally believe are the 6 pillars that will help you create strong, healthy, lasting relationships. And if that's what you're trying to build, I can literally guarantee that if you can work on building these and not only building them, but maintain them throughout the relationship, I believe you have the best chance ever of, living a happy, healthy relationship and really growing and developing in life, because that's what it's all about. But like I said, a lot of relationships today are built on bull. Let's just be real and be frank. Built on bull. And a lot of relationships, people come with unrealistic expectations. People nowadays have this social media fantasy of what a relationship is supposed to look like. And some people want instant gratification. You have the men, who want to marry, or get with the girl who the sexiest, and they want the physical gratification. You have a lot of women who want to get with men who have money because they want the financial gratification. That's what it's about. But, you know, pride, you know what I'm saying? People feel like having certain people in their lives or being in relationships with certain people, give them a sense of false pride, or, instead of humility, lack of emotional maturity. Like I said, a lot of us ain't really ready. You know what I'm saying? Fear of commitment, all of these things, hurt our chances of having happy relationships. A lot of us deal with poor communication and can't really communicate, so that all of that hinders, you know, growth and development. And that's on a simple note, a lot of people want to reap the benefits of a good relationship, but without accepting the responsibility that comes with those relationships. And like I said today, I feel like so many women who have quote unquote, you know, figured out their value or figured out their worth seem to be looking for guys who don't know their worth. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of talk these days about the prize, And I can, say without a doubt from past history, from healthy relationships that I've seen, you know what I'm saying? Like my little bro, being that, Charles, that always, you know what I'm saying, watching my stream, you know what I'm saying? He look up to me in a lot of ways, but I look up to him in the fact that he found love. And I can tell by being around him and his wife, I can tell by looking at them that they are one of the true couples who realize that both of them are the prize. Both of them are the prize. And when you get that point right there, when you get to that point as a person where you start to realize that your mate is the prize and your mate realizes that you is the prize, that's when the magic happens. That's when the real magic happens. But good evening, Miss Jacqueline. How you doing? People relationships should have God as the head. Be transparent, honest, trustworthy, respectful, committed, understanding, listening to understand, communicate and love. That's what's up. That's it. That's it. That's it. And just like I said, Miss Jackie, we gonna touch on it. We sure gonna touch on it. We gonna touch on it all. like I said, you know, it's a lot of stuff these days are built on things that don't really matter. Like I see people posting these, vacation videos, people smiling, people happy, people looking good, and everybody, comment relationship goals, or I see all of this, but at the same time, we don't know that a lot of those people ain't really happy. They really fronting for the camera. They really fronting from social media. And even worse, here lately, I've seen, you know, a lot of couples who social media couples and power couples who have, the relationship seem and look so good online. But I've read stories here lately where, destructive behavior, people have been killed, people have ended up in prison, people have ended up, in bad breakups and trying to expose each other. And all this negativity from people who look so good in the beginning online. You know what I'm saying? I saw somebody just today that had just posted not too long ago with a male that they were in love with. And they looked so happy and everything like that. And it's like earlier today, literally, I saw her post a picture, saying that she had been abused, I think by that man. And that's just not what's up. It's not what's up. No, that's not what's up. Back in the day, men valued their sex. It was hard bring them men back. It all boiled down to everyone going to hurt you and mess up who is worth accepting. Yo, hey, it is what it is. But like I said, appearance, isn't the foundation. That's one of the weakest foundation, to be with, because God knows I would hate to be in a relationship where everything looked happy on the outside, but then, behind closed doors, I'm going through hell. That's not what it's all about. So what should relationships be built on? Let's jump into it. Number one, like Miss Jacqueline said, God should be, the head of everything, regardless of what, because God brings about, stability. God brings stability and realness. If you really believe in God, and that's another thing that I believe, that we deal with as individuals. A lot of us these days don't know God. We talk about God and we speak on it, and we'll put up a quote or we'll put up a scripture, but a lot of us don't live our lives like we truly know God. Because like I said, if you truly know, I tell people that all the time, if you truly know God, it's just certain ways that you don't act. It's just certain things you don't do. And one of the main quotes that I hear nowadays when people say they match energy, people of God don't match energy. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I've been in that situation where I've matched energy too. But I know that that's not godly. Because people hurt me, I'm not gonna turn around and hurt people, because that's not right. Because people, do me wrong, I'm not gonna turn around and try to do them wrong or try to expose them or nothing like that, because that's not godly. It's just not it. So if you still on that type of time, like I said, you're not ready. I don't believe you're ready. But like I said, the number one pillar that I believe everybody wants in a relationship at the end of the day is peace. Peace. Because, and peace doesn't mean that you're not disagreeing, you don't have disagreements. Peace don't mean that, everything is going to be peachy all the time. But peace is the ability to disagree with a person without trying to destroy that person, or without feeling like you have to compete with that person. If you in a relationship and one person wants to save money, but the other wants to buy a new car, like, it's cool. It's cool, but it's not an argument. It's not a disagreement. It's not a competition. It's about talking to each other, communicating, working through your problems. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing, because a lot of times, like I said, it's two different people coming together. So everybody is not going to agree on everything all the time, but you have to be able to compromise. You have to be able to understand the next person and understand what's important to them, just like they can understand what's important to you. And again, like I said earlier, I've been in relationships where I didn't agree with what the person, wanted to do. I felt like I knew the right thing to do. I knew the right thing for the person, but understanding them and them communicating how they felt about certain things made me, understand, okay, this is something they really believe in. This is something they really want to do. So even though I might not agree with it, I understand why they want to do it. And I'm not going to say, okay, do what you want to do. This. No, like I believe you're passionate about it. So I'm going to support you in doing it because I want you to be happy too. So it's not about, what I want all the time. And that's what really peace is all about. But without peace in your relationship, you're going to constantly be at battle. You constantly arguing. You get to the point where you avoiding arguments and you basically walking around on eggshells and you're not comfortable. That leads to stress, emotional exhaustion and a whole different, you know, whole different mindset. You know what I'm saying? That can push you, to destroy a relationship without peace. And it is what it is. We have to get to the point where we understand that we two individuals and we have to respect each other. And like I said, learn to communicate. Learn to communicate. If everybody's going to disagree, everybody not going to, be on the same page all the time. But y'all have to be willing to sit down and know that I want this to work. I want to be happy just like I want this person to be happy. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But the benefits of maintaining peace are worth it because when you are dealing with a peaceful person in a peaceful environment, you get to the point where you feel safe. You feel safe. You want to communicate more. You feel more comfortable communicating. You build trust in that person. And trust is everything. And over time, maintaining that, it becomes more stable. That relationship becomes more stable because it gives you the environment to truly be who you are, and truly grow and develop. But like I said, you have to maintain it. You have to maintain it. And like I said, a lot of people get in relationships and get comfortable. And that's one of the things you can't do. I tell people all the time, getting in a relationship is easy. But once you get into the relationship, that's when the hard work begins. That's when the real work begins. But in order to maintain peace in a relationship, one of the first things I learned to do is to stop and think before you respond. Stop and think before you respond. Take the time to think. Don't respond out of anger. Don't respond to just respond. Take some time to think, even if it's something, especially when it's something that may push a button or something that may, cause you to feel some type of way. Stop and think before you respond. Stop and think how what I say is going to affect this person, how what I say is going to, affect our relationship. You have to stop and think. But one of the other main things is learn to talk instead of argue. I know people, get excited. I know voices get raised and everything like that. But like I said, it's a whole different thing to argue. It's a whole different thing to start responding, just to respond or trying to hurt somebody or trying to belittle somebody or make somebody feel bad. That's not what it's all about. In order to, maintain your peace and try to seek understanding and just instead of trying to win. If you a happy, healthy person, I like me personally, I just want to understand. I want to understand. Like I don't have to win. We win together. We win together. And you always have to keep that in mind and solve problems together. Be willing to talk to your mate, let them know when you have a problem, communicate, because like I said, they say men are leaders, men are this, but at the same time, I've got, some great life lessons. I've got some great knowledge. I've got great wisdom from women. So I'm never in a situation where I can't listen to, women for their side of the story and to help me become a better leader and make better decisions and help lead us. So we have to learn to solve problems together, talk it out. And one of the main things, do not insult each other. Do not insult, do not belittle each other, talk down on each other, none of that. Because that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Also be emotionally safe as well. Exactly. Exactly. It without that, it don't work. But your partner should be your place of peace. You know what I'm saying? Your relationship should be a place of peace and not a battlefield. And that goes for both men and women. If y'all find yourself battling more, than being each other's place of peace, y'all might need to do something different. But number two, everybody needs encouragement. No matter who you are, everybody needs encouragement. And if you don't believe in your spouse or you don't believe in your mate, why should anyone else believe them? And more importantly, if you don't believe in your mate, why are you with them? Why are you with them? You shouldn't be with nobody who you don't believe in. So, like I said, real love pushes people higher. Real love don't hold you back. Real love don't try to confine you. Real love is not about control. Real love is about encouragement. And you got a, person who want to start a business. Your husband want to start a business, or your boyfriend want to start a business. Encourage that. Encourage that. Instead of saying, "Oh, that won't work," or "You can't do this," his woman, like, believe in him. Believe in him. And that, I guarantee you, in the right situation, that support changes everything. It changes everything. That gives him the encouragement to, take on the work. Even, your woman. Your woman want to start a business. You know what I'm saying? Be encouraging. She want to do something, be encouraging. Even if you don't understand it. If you know that it's a passion of hers and you know that she's serious about it, be encouraged. It's okay to be the cheerleader. It's okay to be the cheerleader, both men and women. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're truly together, her accomplishments are yours. His accomplishments are yours. Y'all both gonna win. So always be encouraging, man. Like, without the proper encouragement, people's dreams die. They lose confidence, and eventually bitterness start to grow. Bitterness, and that, like, who wouldn't, know what I'm saying, grow bitter or grow upset with people who don't support them, people who claim to care about them, but they don't support them. And when you do have a person and y'all both are encouraging, it fuels growth. It fuels growth. It builds confidence. It helps you set and achieve bigger goals. And the teamwork aspect of the relationship becomes so much stronger. So always look for people who are encouraging, and always look to be encouraging, man. But celebrate wins. Celebrate when, people accomplish stuff. Celebrate, when they, get a raise. Celebrate when they, excel at the job. Celebrate, the things that they do, in general. Because, speak life into people. Start speaking life into people. I can't, tell you how many people, I see nowadays that claim to be in relationships that speak down on each other, that discourage each other. And that's not how it's supposed to go. That's not how it's supposed to go. If y'all gonna be together, believe in each other. That's simple. If you don't believe in a person, don't be with them. It's as simple as that. Your words carry weight, and your words should be used to build your partner up and not break them down. Not break them down. I see so many, men and women who, break each other down, talk down on each other. And that's not what's up. If you're around people like that, get away from around those people. Seriously. If you're not around people who encourage you, run. Because it makes it so much harder to, be happy and achieve things in life. But number three is loyalty. And with this loyalty thing, I'm going to tell you, everybody have a different definition of this. You know what I'm saying? But let me say this from a personal standpoint. Loyalty to me has nothing to do with who you talk to. It has nothing to do with who you're sleeping with. It has nothing to do with none of that. None of that. I've been in intimate relationships that didn't work, for a number of reasons. You know, any reason you could think of. I've had relationships end, but still to this day, I could call those people if I need them. Still to this day, those people could call me if they needed me, and they know that. You know, so loyalty is not based on who you with. You know what I'm saying? I've had women who it didn't work out with us. They went on and got married. But if they ever needed me, it wasn't about who their husband was or who this. Like if they needed me to be there and I could, I was there. Vice versa. You know what I'm saying? I've been married. When I was married, you know, I've had women who it wasn't about sex, it wasn't about anything but loyalty. And if I ever need anything, if my wife needed anything at that point, they would help. They would help. Not a question asked, and not, oh, you with her, she should be this. That's not loyalty. That's not so for all the people that feel like loyalty is dealing with you and not dealing with nobody else, that's not what I call loyalty. That's not what I call loyalty. For real. You know what I'm saying? And just like I said, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. But to me, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than all that. Pray for each other. Most definitely. Most definitely. You right. I didn't mention that either. And encouraging. But like you said, Ms. Jacqueline, pray for each other. But loyalty is standing beside someone during a difficult time. Loyalty is not about money. Loyalty is about just being there, being an ear, being able to listen, being able to give some real advice, you know, or just being there, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, to listen when somebody needs to vent or needs, you know, some encouragement. You know, loyalty is everything. But if your spouse or your mate lose a job, don't criticize. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Do you do that? Is that what do you criticize, or do you help them recover? Do you know what I'm saying? Support them, encourage them, you know, and help them get back on their feet. That's what loyalty is all about. You know, your partner makes a mistake. Everybody make mistakes. Everybody, you know what I'm saying, do you embarrass them? Do you embarrass them, or do you correct them in private? You know what I'm saying? Everybody make mistakes. But like I always like to say, when it comes to people and judging people, judge people by their intentions. Judge people by their intentions. Again, I've had past relationships, even in my marriage, you know, where people made bad choices and bad decisions. I was able to look at, were their intentions good? Were the intentions good? Did they try to hurt me? Were they trying to, you know, do something shiesty? Was they trying to, you know, do something negative? Or did they have good intentions? That's what it's all about, you know, because like I said, nobody's perfect. Nobody gets it right all the time. Everybody make mistakes. But if you have a person who has good intentions and who means well, you have to respect it. You can never, you know, get to the point where you don't respect it. And that's what loyalty is about. But without loyalty in a relationship, it's the fear of the unknown. It's distrust. It's, you know, feeling isolated, feeling like you don't have nobody, feeling like, you know, you can't depend on nobody. It's emotional insecurity. Just like I said, like feeling like you don't have nobody in this world. Like God knows, I'm not the best friend. I'm not the best family member. I'm not any of that. But I really, truly believe that anybody that truly knows me knows that I'll be there. I'll be there. You know, regardless of what, if you need me, I'll be there, and I'll do whatever I need to do to come through. But when you find loyal people, you become more secure in yourself. You become more secure in your relationship. It helps with your confidence. You know, it helps you feel more stable and grounded, and it breeds commitment. Regardless of what, and just like I said, regardless of what, loyalty, you know what I'm saying, breeds commitment. And in this day and age, commitment is everything. Just having somebody real, just having somebody you can depend on in crunch time. But in order to maintain loyalty, number one, respect each other's reputation. Respect each other's reputation. If you are with a person, if I'm with a person and we friends, we intimate or whatever, I respect your reputation. I'm never going to do anything behind your back to hurt your reputation. I'm never going to do anything or allow anybody else to do anything that would tarnish your reputation or would tarnish who, you are. And keep private matters private. Nowadays, people do a lot of gossiping. People, call themselves doing exposing and all this extracurricular stuff. And that's not what loyalty is all about. That doesn't help breed loyalty. We have to be real. We don't want, what I'm saying, certain things ain't for everybody. And even if we fall out today, I'm not running to tell nobody nothing about you, because that's the most disloyal shit it is. I'm not running to nobody to try to put you down regardless. Like, if we get to that point where I can't deal with you, I can't deal with you. But try to tear you down, I would never do, because tearing the next person down doesn't boost you up. It makes you look raggedy. It makes you look bad. But learn to fight the problem and not fight each other, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Fight the problem. Let's attack the problem. Let's not attack each other. But learn to forgive. Learn to forgive. And that comes with, like Miss Jacqueline said earlier, having God in your life. Praying for you. Learn to forgive. Learn to forgive. Even if you know what I'm saying, you got people that hurt you intentionally, you still have to learn to forgive. Because holding anger or holding ill will in your heart for somebody, that destroys you more than it destroys them a lot of times. So learn to forgive, even if you have to walk away. Even if you have to learn to love people from a distance, learn to forgive. Learn to forgive. But everybody deserves accountability. Nobody deserves abandonment. Nobody deserves abandonment. And just like I said earlier, true. If you get to the point where you don't want to be with me no more, if you get to the point where you're not happy with me no more, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I've been accused, you know what I'm saying, of not caring, because a person told me they weren't happy no more and they wanted to leave. And I said, okay, cool, because I care about you enough to the point where if I don't make you happy, go ahead. Go be happy. Go be happy. I never want to be the cause of nobody being unhappy. Don't stay with me, and if I make you unhappy, if you're not unhappy, if you're not happy being with me, go, because I care about you enough to where I want you to be happy, even if it means me being sad. A lot of times, go be great. Go be great. But number 4 comes without really saying, but number 4 is respect. Number 4 is respect. And respect is shown in your tone of voice, how you talk to people, how you communicate with people. Respect is shown in the words you choose. You're not calling people out of their name. You're not screaming. You're not yelling. You're not being disrespectful. Respect is shown in your actions. Like I said, what are your intentions? What are your intentions? Respect is shown in the decisions you make. When I was married, my decisions every day revolved around, how is it going to affect my wife? How is it going to affect our relationship? And that's with anybody. If a friend is involved, if a family member is involved, regardless of what. And a lot of times, it directly affects me, because I'm not going to do nothing intentionally that's going to hurt nobody. That's not how I rock, because I don't want nobody to do that to me. So, like I said, if I got a disagreement with you, I don't have to disagree with you in public. I don't have to, embarrass you or whatever. I had a disagreement one time with my brother-in-law, and it's crazy because I called this man on the phone. You know what I'm saying? And we had words on the phone. We disagreement. We had a disagreement on the phone, and it got to the point where my nephew came back and said, hey man, I heard you and him got into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, huh? Like, no, we had a disagreement. This is on the phone between me and him. He's like, yeah, I heard you got into it. I heard y'all got into it. And I'm like, what happened? Who said that? He's like, yeah, I heard you checked him and he didn't even say nothing. This and that there. And it's like, immediately that rubbed me the wrong way, because yeah, we had a disagreement, but I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like whatever, however that got out to where as man to man, people telling people, I checked you and you didn't say nothing and you didn't do nothing. Like it was some real conflict. And that rubbed me the wrong way. That didn't sit right with me. And I had to, humble myself. And like, okay, people are running around basically saying, I checked this man and this man didn't do nothing. How did that make that man feel as a man? That kind of stuff can bring about ill will. That stuff can bring about drama. And it's not even that serious, just by people talking and doing putting stuff out in the public. So I made it my business to not call this man on the phone, but to go to this man face to face and apologize to him out of respect. To apologize to this man and say, hey man, that's my bad. I got a little hot. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't meant like that. It wasn't meant no strike. To apologize to this man just to put that in the air, to combat, the negativity that had got out. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, talk to each other, not down on each other. And just like I said, man, a lot of stuff's supposed to stay in-house, regardless of what. But like I said, stuff happens. Like in this situation, never hesitate to be a man or be a woman and correct it. Don't let it get out of hand, out of pride, you know what I'm saying, out of ego or whatever. Because without real respect, them arguments can turn personal. And we know those arguments can get personal and those arguments can get out of hand. I've seen simple arguments lead to people losing their life, people losing their freedom. And it's not that serious. But, when you argue with your mate, you get them to turn off. They stop listening, they grow resentment, and eventually, just like I said, it destroys the relationship. And that's not what we want if we build it. But if you maintain that respect and you keep a healthy respect for each other, you develop healthy communication. You grow to admire people who really respect you. You grow to really care about people who truly respect you. Whether you always right or not, people respect you, that grows. And then you get to a point where y'all become safe with each other. And that's what it's all about. Getting to the point where, y'all are safe with each other. Everything you do is not for everyone to know. Most definitely. For real, Ms. Jackson, for real. And just like I said, like, learn to keep stuff in house, learn to show that respect because you want that respect in return. But in order to build respect in a relationship, number one, we have to learn to listen to people. We have to learn to listen to express themselves, especially when they, telling you what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? I had a saying one time, like people talked about women and women in discussing their past relationships. I asked a guy one time, I said, if you met the perfect woman, you know what I'm saying? I say, but she wanted to talk to you about her past relationships and things that she went through in the past. How would you handle it? And dude was like, I tell her if she started talking about them dudes, she needs to be with them. I'm like, nah, that's not how you handle it. I see it different. And he's like, well, how would you handle it? I say, if she telling me about past relationships as a man, I'm going to listen, because if she tell me the stuff that those guys did wrong, I know not to make those same mistakes. And if she tell me the things that those guys did right, then I know where I need to step my game up. So I'm learning. But like I said, everybody's different, but learn to listen. You can learn a lot by listening and value other people's opinion. How people think, I tell people I don't deal with how people feel, but I can listen to how you feel. You know what I'm saying? So I can try to gain a better understanding from where that's coming from, where those feelings are coming from. But another thing we have to learn to do, and if you learn to master this one thing, I guarantee you it would eliminate a lot of your problems in relationships. Learn to apologize. Learn to apologize. So many people these days think they right. They feel like, they know it. They know, and things get out of hand and people won't apologize. I believe, like, I can't say that's the single most, but I believe that thing alone is so, valuable in maintaining happy relationships, and maintaining respect. Being able to apologize and like, hey, I was wrong. And I've been in a situation where a person would tell me, well, this is how you said it. And I say, well, what I said was right. It was the truth. And they like, I know, well, this how, okay, well, I apologize for how I said it. Even though I stand on the truth, even though I stand on what I said, I apologize for how I said it. I apologize for how it came out because it might not have came out right. But be willing to apologize. And another thing, always keep your word. Keep your word. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to do everything somebody asks you to do. But I guarantee you, if you tell a person that you're going to do something, do everything in your power to do it. Or if something happens and you can't, be man up. Man up. Hey, I know I told you I couldn't do that, but like I know I told you I could do that, but something came up. I'm not going to be able to do that. Be a man of your word. Be a woman of your word. That goes a long way. Apologizing, being willing to apologize, and keeping your word. That goes so far in maintaining respect in a relationship. But respect is not control. Respect is being considerate. And just like I said, keeping your word and apologizing shows the ultimate form of consideration for the people you deal with. It'll take you a long way. It will take you a long way. Accountability. That's it. That's it. Accountability. Accountability. But number 5, learn to appreciate people. Learn to appreciate people. In today's world, where people are so fake, people are so phony, people will lie, people will deceive, they will cheat, they will steal. Learn to appreciate genuine people. Learn to appreciate the people who gonna keep it real with you. People, get so caught up in what people don't do. I tell people all the time, I learned a long time ago, I can't expect people to be me. I can't expect people to be me. I can only expect them to be them. And everybody don't rock like I rock. Everybody don't have the morals and values that I have. But learn to respect people for who they are. Learn to respect people for who they are. And when you find genuine people, who are going to tell you the truth, when you be honest with you, when you find genuine people who are going to do what they say they're going to do, when you find people who are going to be there for you when they can, nobody can be there all the time. It's impossible. But when you find people who are genuine people, respect them. Respect them, man. One thing I learned I don't like about some people is the fact that with some people, they can need you 100 times. You can be there for them 100 times. But the first time they call on you and you have to say no or you can't be there, nothing you did in the past matters. All they can think about is that one time, that you had to say no. They don't remember the 100 times that you said yes, the 100 times that you pulled up, the 100 times that you came through. I can't stand people like that. I get away from people like that ASAP because they don't know what I'm saying, appreciate. People like that don't appreciate real. You know what I'm saying? People when you're dealing with people, you can't always focus on the things they don't do, especially to the point where you look over the things that they do. Because like I said, everything is different. Everybody is different. Don't never get so caught up in, well, they didn't do this for me, or they didn't do that, or they wasn't here for me doing this, and they wasn't here for me doing that. But to the point where you forget the times that they were there. You forget the times that they did show up. You forget the times that they did come through. Like, that is the worst. That is the worst. Literally, I like that. That's one, trait, characteristic that I'm telling you. If you are that type of person, you need to work on that. You have serious issues. You have serious issues. You got, husbands that work every day, that pay bills, that come home to their family, that protect their family. And nobody, you know what I'm saying, ever feels the need to thank a person. Nobody ever feels the need, to tell that person, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. You know what I'm saying? And eventually he gonna grow to feel invisible. He gonna grow to feel, you know what I'm saying, that he not appreciated. Or if you always, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, and forget the things that he did do, eventually he gonna feel appreciated, unappreciated. Eventually he gonna know you don't respect him. You don't. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa. You got a wife who cooks, cleans, raise the children, do everything she can to support everybody, and nobody ever acknowledge it. Nobody ever acknowledge, like, hey, I see you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Eventually she gonna feel unappreciated. And that destroys relationships. That destroys relationships. Men, understand that nobody is obligated to do anything. Nobody. Like I said, honestly, when you ask people for something, when you need people, nobody is obligated. Everybody has the right to say no. I'm not doing it. No, I can't do it. No, I'm not with it. Even if a person tell you they are going to do something, they have every right to change their mind. Life happens. They have every right to change their mind and do something different. Everybody has that right. So when you get people who are really there for you or really try to be there for you, really when they can, and really like appreciate those people, man, because those people are rare these days. I swear they rare. I swear they rare. People would rather lie to you, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I got you, knowing good and well they ain't, ain't even thinking about getting you. But the real genuine people, if they can be there for you one time, man, that's invaluable. Cherish those people, man. Show appreciation. Because without appreciation, people grow to feel resentment. People burn out. Without appreciation, you'd be surprised how being appreciative of people, genuinely appreciative people, encourage people to help you more. You know what I'm saying? Make people knowing you appreciate them, they'll go the extra mile. The real will. But if you don't, you'll burn them out. You'll burn them out. You don't show the proper appreciation, genuine appreciation, you'll burn them out. They'll get to the point where they don't want to see you coming. They don't want to help you no more. They feel used, and it destroys it. It destroys the relationship. I've seen so many people destroy the relationship over that. Destroy, people that really care about them because you focused on the times that they didn't do something and really forgot, all the times that they did. You got more angry when they weren't able to do something and never really, thanked them or showed your appreciation for all the stuff they did. And that doesn't work. But I guarantee you, if you try to maintain showing that general appreciation to people, people will be more happy. Your relationship, your situation will be more happy. People will be more motivated to help you. People will be more motivated to be there for you. And love grows. When people really know you respect them, people really know you cherish the things that they do, love grows. They grow to love you and care about you even more. You'd be surprised. But like I said, simple ways to show your appreciation. Simply say thank you. Say thank you. Celebrate their effort. Celebrate their effort. Like, hey, I see you. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Because I know you didn't have to do it, but you did. Notice the little things. Notice the little things. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, if you got a man that pick up and help around the house because you worked hard, he, throw a load of clothes in the wash the dishes. Like, notice that. Men, when you ain't got it, you got a woman, you know what I'm saying, that's going to make sure you got it. That's going to come through for you and help you figure it out. Show your appreciation. Show your appreciation. Express gratitude, man. Be grateful. Be grateful for people like that in your life because you could be, you know what I'm saying, without, have a bunch of snakes and people that don't care around you. So cherish those people, man. What gets appreciated gets repeated. When you don't appreciate somebody, you turn them off to help you. When you only want to focus on the stuff that they don't do, you make them not want to do anything. If that's the only attention they're going to get for the thing that they don't do, you make them not want to do anything. You make them pull up, you know what I'm saying, and get to the point where they don't care. Because all you going to call out is what they didn't do. So you don't appreciate nothing they did do. But the sixth and final thing when it comes to relationships and it comes to building, make each other a priority. Make each other a priority. See, back in the days, I realized that we as people, one of the main things that we got wrong is different from back in the days. Back in the days when people courted at a young age, wasn't no kids involved. You know what I'm saying? Those families back then realized that when y'all came together, like the Bible said, you leave your mother and father and you become one with your husband. You become one with your, like, people knew that back then. Like, so it was easy. When a man and a woman got together back then, they learned to make each other a priority. He was all about her. She was all about him. They put each other first. That, you know what I'm saying, alone is the foundation of y'all being happy together. These days, you got women with kids. You got single mothers who say their kids come first. You know what I'm saying? You have men who, you know, they have mothers, they have sisters, you know what I'm saying? Homeboys, some of everything. Women, you got friends, you got family, you got your kids. And you get to the point where other things come before your man. That shit is not going to work. And the craziest part about it is you have women out here actively single parents, family, friends, and they'll tell a man, my kids come first, my family come first, but they'll actually tell that man, I expect you to come in my life and put me first. That shit is not working. Nobody wants to come second. Nobody wants to come third. Not when you asking me to put you first. And like I said, as a man, I've put some of those same women to task and like, okay, if your kids come first, if your family come first, and this, like, I have, you know, friends, I have associates and everything like that. So you have to understand, and it's going to be times where they come first. And that's where the issues start. And that's where you're wrong. That is where you absolutely wrong. And that's why I say so many people are damaged that don't understand. That's not how it works. Understand, just like I said, if you have people, you know, that's always going to come first in your life, respect the fact that the mate you get, you know what I'm saying, is not going to sit around and wait to become second. And they not obligated to. You know, if you have, you know, your girls' night out and you have to spend time with your girls, I don't rock with dudes like that. So I might want to spend time with my girls, my homegirls. I have homegirls. I might want to, know what I'm saying. I'm not to sit at home, you know what I'm saying, and be second or be third, you know what I'm saying, while you go do your thing. And it's not disrespectful. It's just understanding that, hey, if we're not going to put each other first, then that's cool. But don't tell me, I don't get to tell you who to put first. I don't get to tell you how to do you. You can't tell me how to do me. And it's nothing wrong with it. And you can't make it nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you know with that up front. Just like I said, everybody should be honest. Everybody should get that out the way up front. If you're not willing to put somebody first and make somebody a priority, then understand that person now don't have to make you a priority either. It's simple as that. If you want to be a priority, make the person a priority. Make that person a priority. You know, a commitment is not just me. When you get together in a relationship, it becomes we. Every decision is about what's best for us, not, you know what I'm saying, what I want to do. And just like I said, I've witnessed it in, you know, person, I'm grown, I do what I want to do. Okay, respect that other person is grown too. So keep the same energy. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're going to be up front and we're going to be straight with it, that's cool. But don't know what I'm saying, try to knock me or don't try to look at me a certain way because, other people, you know what I'm saying, will get my attention when you want it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's other people getting your attention when I want it. Learn to respect it either way. But if you want a lasting, loving, healthy relationship, make each other a priority because your friends are not going to always be there. When they find them a relationship, they find them somebody, they'll cut you off. If you live long enough, you done seen it. Your family, you know what I'm saying? Your family, you know what I'm saying? These days, family ain't always there. Your kids gonna get grown and they gonna go get their relationship. They gonna go on with their life like they supposed to do. But if you make them a priority over your mate, understand that's your choice. That is your choice. But if you want to build something happy, healthy, and lasting, make each other a priority. Make each other priority. Before you take another job and start spending more time away from the house, before you start spending money, before you make major decisions, consult with your mate. Talk to them. Talk to them. Make sure y'all on the same page. Before you make major decisions or any decision, it's easy to say, I do what I want to do because I'm grown. But respect the next person for being grown too and doing what they want to do, even when you don't agree with it. Even when it means, you know what I'm saying, they not making you a priority. If you're not going to make them a priority, respect it in return. That's how it balance out. That's how it balance out. But if y'all don't make each other priorities, people will feel neglected. The distance between y'all will grow. Outside influences will replace. Come on, you got it's too much social media going on. It's too much social media going on. If your family, you let them tell you what to do, this and that there, you family. You let them go tell you to go against your family or your homeboy. Oh man, she got you whooped. You let hey man, at the end of the day, I'm with her. I'm with her. We gotta be happy together. We gotta be on the same page. She is a priority, and vice versa. Because if not, you're not building nothing. You're not building nothing. And just like I said, when you get to that point where y'all can prioritize each other, maintain it. Maintain it. You know what I'm saying? When you prioritize each other, y'all become stronger together. Y'all become stronger together. The trust is built more. The trust becomes more solid. You get to the point where y'all vision, become aligned. You get to the point where both of y'all feel more secure in the relationship and who y'all are as individuals. Like, it just makes it so much better. It just makes it so much better, and the bond becomes so much stronger when y'all make each other a priority. And again, if you can't do that, if your kids come first, your family come, cool. But know to respect that from your mate. No man is expecting you to drop everything, you know what I'm saying, and come be all about him if he not willing to drop it, you know what I'm saying, and make you a priority too, and vice versa. I know women, it's single mothers, and they like, yeah, you take care of your kids. Yeah, you supposed to do that. Yeah, you look out for your family when you can. But as a married man, when I was married, I had no problem saying, let me talk it over with my wife. You know what I'm saying? And I'll let you know. And that's what I did. And when they, you got to add permission or any of that bull, family, friends, anybody, it didn't matter. That was priority. That was priority. And when you get to the point where you don't receive that in return, it's okay to not make them, because that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You don't prioritize people that don't prioritize you. That's a one-sided relationship. But constantly date each other. Don't never get to the point where you get comfortable. I tell people all the time, like I think I said in the beginning of this episode, when you get to a lot of people get in a relationship and get comfortable. That's why I tell people, for one, I'm not trying to settle down, because I'm not trying to get in a relationship and then get comfortable and not weak. No, it's time to power up. When you find that person that's for you, that's the time to go hard. That's the time to go hard. And I say this about a lot of people. When I said in the beginning, everybody is not ready because people haven't dealt with, their issues from past relationships. So many people go so hard for so long for the wrong people that by the time they find the good people or a good person in their life, they burnt out. They burnt out and they don't have nothing left to give. And that's how you can destroy your relationship. When you find the person who's going to prioritize you, you have to prioritize them and go hard. That's the time to go hard. That's the time to put all the effort in there. Just like you wasted all the effort on the wrong people, when you find the right person who's going to prioritize you and put you first, that's when it's time to go hard. But spend quality time with each other. Like Miss Jacqueline said earlier, pray together. Pray together. Pray for each other. Keep God in there. But make decisions together. And protect your relationship. Man. Protect your relationship at all costs. That's against family. That's against your kids. That's against friends. You protect your relationship because you want that person to protect the relationship just as much. That's what it's all about. When two people become one, there should never be competition between them. And nobody else should ever be able to come between them. I don't care who it is. And that's how it was back in the days. You didn't have families, you know what I'm saying, that got in your business. Her daddy recognized that when you became her husband, you was the shot caller in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Your mother recognized that when she became your wife, she became, you know what I'm saying, number one. I see people pose questions. Well, if you was with your husband and his mama rolled with y'all, where's she gonna sit in the back? No, my wife gonna sit in the front. Unless she decide to get my mother the back seat. Get in the back up there. Because that's my ride. That was my ride. And that's what it is. Priority. Priority. But another one. Well, if you see your mother, your child, and your wife drowning, who you gonna save? People say a lot of things. Personally, when you just get right down to the real, your priority is with your wife. That's your first priority. Now that don't go for relationships. It might be different in relationships, but that question when it comes to wives and mothers, like I know people gonna say, "Oh, you say your child," or this and that. That's what we become. That's what we got to as a people. And that's why, people are not prioritizing their mates no more. People not prioritizing their wives, you know what I'm saying, and their husband no more. And that's why these marriages are constantly failing. But it is what it is. Y'all keep doing it how y'all want to do it, and you'll keep getting the same results. But hey, I didn't give you 6 ways to get married. I did not give you 6 ways to get married. I didn't give you 6 ways to find somebody. I gave you 6 ways to stay together and build happy, healthy relationships. Love is way more, the commitment is way more than just feelings. It's choices. It's being disciplined. It's a commitment, a real commitment. If 2 imperfect people commit to protecting these 6 pillars, that's peace, that's encouragement, that's loyalty, that's respect, that's genuine appreciation, and making each other a priority. If 2 genuine people commit to these 6 pillars, they can overcome anything. They can overcome financial problems. They can overcome health problems. They can overcome family issues. They can overcome disagreement and everything unexpected that life has to offer. Every storm that life will bring down on you. I guarantee you, if you have these 6 things and y'all focus on building these 6 things, y'all can overcome it. Strong relationships don't happen by accident and they don't happen overnight. They are intentionally built. One choice, one conversation, and one act of love at a time. Rock with me. Rock with me now. But which of these 6 pillars, you know what I'm saying, do you think is most important? Which of these 6 pillars do you think is most important? Talk to me and let me know something. Drop them in the chat. And which pillar do you believe is missing from most relationships these days? Talk to me and let me know something. I'm always listening. I'm always listening. Amen. Goes both ways. Balance. Go hard. That's it. Pray together. Stay together. Most definitely, Mr. Cecil. Stay strong, brother. Most definitely. But like I said, if tonight's conversation, you know, if tonight's conversation challenge you or encourage you, do me a favor, share this live stream with someone who needs to hear it. If you rock with me and you like what I talk about, follow me on Facebook at I am Toby O'Neill, YouTube channel, the P-Ave Perspective show. Personal YouTube, I am Toby O'Neill. And if possible, join me, man. I try to rock every Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and hopefully bring you another episode of the P-Ave Perspective with Mr. O'Neill. But as always, let's have honest conversations, develop real solutions, and work toward rebuilding ourselves, rebuilding our families, and rebuilding our communities, one perspective at a time. One perspective at a time. But hey, y'all take care. Have a great rest of your week. And hopefully, man, I'll see y'all out again next Thursday. Peace.